looking at your life. Life is happening, the 30th of June happens. See, guys, get this. Accounting, by definition of the word, refers to the past. It's a what happened process. So you go and see your accountant, and this is the system. You show up. You bring your data. In your data, you have your income, your receipts, your expenses, and your loss of memory. Yeah. And you have done this more than once, haven't you? So some of you, when you get in there, oh, I don't remember. Oh, where's that receipt? Oh, where's that tax deductible? Now I know you. Driving to your accountant's office, you're thinking, oh, I wonder if this is going to be different. Now, one of the definitions of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. So there's you. You bring your data. Your accountant looks at the data, looks at the rules, looks at you. You're looking, looks at the data again. You look at the accountant. Then he puts the data into the system. Well, the rules of the ATO is the system. It puts your personal information of the last 12 months into the system. Ching, ching, here's your tax bill. Now, guys, when do we pay our taxes? When we're sleeping. Yeah, because we're not conscious. Could you imagine if every Australian, this is not just in Australia, throughout the Western world, could you imagine every single person got one big tax bill at the end of the year? There'll be riots on the streets. Now, I'm not against tax because I realize we've got to have roads from Darwin to South Australia, to Perth, back to Cairns, hospitals, schools. But the truth is, tax planning is your right. And there is not just income tax. There are other types of taxes. But what I'm actually talking about here is that tax planning is your right. My point is, you don't think of it, ever. And when you get some money back from the tax man, you feel like you won a little mini lotto. That's not the way to go. Because while you're still looking, your accountant has to pay for running his office, so he gives you a tax bill. You know what I'd like you to do tonight? On your way home tonight, what I'd like you to do is to pick up your cell phone, give your accountant a call, right? Put on the sexiest voice you can manage. So for me, it would be something like this. Tom, Julio, I love you. Hang up. Do you know why, guys? Because accountant or accountancy is a tough gig. It's very hard to get a competent accountant these days. All the good accountants are retiring. And then what actually happens is this. When you go to your accountant, you expect your accountant to be Jesus or Superman. He's neither. She's neither. What am I talking about? Well, I know you. You expect your accountant to be a specialist in finance, a specialist in financial planning, to know what shares to buy, how to set up your trust, and how to set up. You expect your accountant to know everything. Man, they are finding it very hard just to keep up with what happened and being able to process the paperwork to what happened. Imagine trying to put on your accountant the concept of wealth creating and help you to wealth create. I understand that a lot of accountants would love to promise this. But to promise and then to deliver are two different conversations. That's why a lot of them don't. Because just keeping up, as I said, to what happened. And this is why I would like you to call your accountant and say, I love you. Because when your file is in front of your accountant's desk, next time, you're the only client who did that. And he will then spend a little bit more time on your file because you love him or her. Guys, there's very little wealth creation in what goes on. And becoming present to this conversation is what it's all about. So let's keep moving on this. You must get this. It's just a system. You're still looking, the data goes into the rules, and you pay your tax, and it keeps going like this. Now, what if there was a better way? Would you be interested? Can I show it to you? Of course I will. So there we go. Expectations do not match. When do you pay for your tax? When you are sleeping. So here you are. You paid your accountant at $300, didn't you? You know, so you paid your accountant $300 to prepare your personal tax return. But you know what happens? You remember that bill because that bill comes out of your sacred income. Whatever it is that your accountant gives you as a bill is not enough. It should double it, right? Because he's overworked, underpaid. But that's a different point altogether, right? So here it is. You give the $300, but you know what? When I ask people across Australia, how much tax did you pay? How much tax did you pay last year? I get two answers, and here they are. I don't know, or too much. What happens to $9,840? What happens to $25,000? What happens to none? What happens to $3,000? How come people don't know the numbers? And here's the deal. When clients come to us and we start doing that financial health check is an opportunity where people get present to their numbers. You know what? Your numbers have no feelings. You do. Your numbers have no feelings whatsoever. There's your age, your number of kids you have, married or single. They're just numbers, right? But you have feelings towards your numbers. The point is, most people are not even present to what the numbers are doing. So when we looked a bit further, we found out that this guy paid $16,000 in tax last year, and the year before, and the year before. So now we're going to start a conversation and say, hey, when are you going to get present that you're an Australian citizen? She's the best country that there is. You can actually accumulate capital. Why haven't you? Now you know why. Because totally hypnotized by income. Oh, she'll be right, mate, one day. So the price of plain life here, folks, is $16,300. That's the price of plain life. Because he paid $16,000 in tax. You know that Australia is a tax haven? Yes, it is. Only to one type of person, though, the investor. I'll put it all together. See, your income tax is not the only tax you pay. You pay tax every time you buy a cup of coffee. You pay tax on your petrol and your goods. You pay tax all the time. The only thing I'm saying to you is take control over the things that you can take control. Utilize the law for your benefit. Just don't be unconscious. So here it is. Imagine if we could do something about this, right, and start reducing the tax and get $10,000 back. That's $200 a week. $200 a week, and could we invest it? He's the guy. He's a small business guy, showed up in our lives, paid last year, right, $6,000 the accountant to prepare the tax for the business, all right? So the accountant did the best, did the businesses, did all, $6,000, fair enough. Well, how much tax did you pay? $32,000? Well, the price of plain life for the small business owner is $38,000. Are you guys getting this? Just a picture. Just what happens. And no one talks like this. And this is what I meant about rattling the cage. And I would love for your cousin to be here next time. You bring them along because he needs to know this. Your mother needs to know this. So here it is. See, by the time this is another client showed up. By the time he showed up, he says, hey, man, I'm a doctor. I paid my accountant $23,000 last year for preparing the tax for my clinic, for me personally, for my wife, for my other business, yada, yada, yada. And I paid $23,000. Okay, how much you pay in tax? $120,000. You paid $120,000 in tax last year. Yeah. What about the year before? Same. The year before? Same. You have a medical degree. Yes. So you're a smart person. Yeah. And you never looked into it in any way. No. Do you realize you're hypnotized by your high income? Guys, I have a client in Sydney. The guy's income is $800,000 a year. That's his income. It's been like that for a while. Guess the size of his mortgage? $2 million. Now I met another guy who's on $80,000, and he tells me his mortgage is on $200,000. Do you understand that people match their income to their expenses? A guy who's on $800,000 with a mortgage of $2 million, a financed car, I feel like sitting up with his girlfriend and saying, he's not as rich as you think. He's just matching. By the way, he's driving that capital base called his home, And that will grow in value, but he could do so much better if he understood the chain reaction. Not only that, the guy on 80 grand a year could do so much better, because wealth has very little to do with income. It's to do with employing the capital base. So here comes this doctor, paid $23,000 for the accounts preparation, $120 in tax. I said, ma'am, sir, business owner, young people, come along. Let's have a look at your chain reaction and your possibilities. Here we go. Can you imagine that before you bring your daughter, all right, you see, you know, and you control the direction of your financial destiny. That's what we call a financial health check. Imagine if you had a system. Every year, you could plug your numbers in and say, is it working for me or not? And becomes a checkpoint employed by you. No one else trying to say to you, oh, should do this. It's you who drive it. And imagine you show up at your accountant and say, my financial health check is right spot on. Right? JDL has given thousands of Australians control over their financial destiny. Imagine when you show up, your accountant already knows, are you one of those? Yes, I am. Chain reacting, yes. And before too long, your accountant started working with a team of people. It is no longer just like what happened. Never again you look to the past. These are the numbers. What can I do now that will impact my future? What can I do now that will bring me and my family a promise of a better future? And you had all these other people with their acumen and their know-how, without an intention of flogging you product, coming together to have your numbers work for you. I understand it seriously that most people are trying to sell product. What if you had the financial intelligence and you in command of this team? That's what we have created. Because I understand that that's what people want.